performance using gesture-controlled music system in which I use two theremins and a laptop to perform my electronic music during World Technology Awards ceremony in July 2009 in New York. Hi, my name is Jakub Ciupinski. I came from Poland. I graduated from Juilliard last year. And this year I have a great honor to be featured by Metropolis Ensemble as one of their composers. My primary background as a composer and musician was always classical music. As a child I started playing piano from an early stage, and then I was composing. And before I was probably 14, 15 years old, I didn't know much about pop music. For me it was a very alien world, and I didn't have too much respect. But then, I think I was about 16 years old, I started taking lessons of jazz piano, and I went to jazz school, and I met many musicians there who were playing not only jazz but also in the rock bands or pop bands. And from that point I started understanding more about pop music, and I became fascinated by this. I saw many new perspectives, and the music's become something more diverse for me. And obviously the very important part of pop music nowadays is electronics. Pop music is using electronics in a much heavier way than classical music. So through that I also started learning about sound engineering and using electronics. So after some time I had three backgrounds, in fact. It's classical music, it's pop music, and electronics, and I'm working intensively to try to find a way to combine these three words in one consistent style and entity. The piece that I wrote for September concert for Metropolis Ensemble is for three flutes, three cellos, piano, and electronics. And my idea was to combine elements of classical music with pop music, especially loop-based electronica. And the reason for doing that is not that I want to make an easy, accessible music or cheap version of classical music. The reason is that I truly believe that this is the good way of making progress in classical contemporary music. In other words, I believe that by incorporating external elements, we can create a new entity. And also I believe that this is something very typical for my generation of composers. And this is something different. This is something that distinguishes us from avant-garde composers, or I would say old school avant-garde composers, which I truly admire. But what they were doing, they were trying to find answers in increasing complexity, whereas our generation is trying to find the answers in simplicity. Even though things are complex, outside they should seem to be very simple. And the other difference is that avant-garde composers trying to find new solutions by rejecting the past. They were really trying to find something new, whereas our generation is trying to find something new by incorporating elements that already existed. So this is an entire new philosophy that is different from the past, and I think that the Poisson Rouge is perfect place for my piece and for this way of thinking, because they are programming classical contemporary music. So it's like a classical music venue in a way, but at the same time it's a very casual space. It looks like a bar or a restaurant or nightclub. So in fact, what they are doing is they are presenting high art in a very casual space, and this is something I would love to do with my piece. I've seen a couple of concerts by Metropolis Ensemble, and after a while I realized that there's a pattern, that anytime you go to the concert by Metropolis, you can be sure of two things. One is the event will be always on the very high artistic level. They have best musicians, great venues, and if they have a reception, they have the best wine. And the second thing you can be sure is that every time you will be surprised. They are very open-minded people. They want to do something new. And while we were starting on this concert, they wanted me to try interact with the audience before the concert in a way. So I thought about using the system that I already designed before, which I sometimes call real-time composition systems. And the way it works is musicians, real players are looking at laptop screens and they see the musical notation there and they follow whatever they see. And then there is a central computer operated by composer who sends the music to different laptops. However, for this event, I thought about modifying this, and instead of using central computer, I decided to use the iPhone. So now I can control the music that real musicians are playing by clicking different buttons and moving sliders on my iPhone. And the reason for doing it is now I can move together with conductor around the venue and talk to different members of the audience. And I can start interacting with them, asking, what do you think about this? Maybe you want to change this music, you want to change the tempo, dynamics, maybe another melody, another texture. I will be using it as sort of a notepad. And imagine that I'm a waiter, and instead of serving you food and drinks, I serve you the music. And by iPhone, I'm just taking your orders. So this device will be operated only by me, because I think we won't have enough time to introduce all people, to how it works and how to use it. So it's just a portable way of communicating with musicians. So this is the experiment we want to do in order to interact with the audience. And I know that technology will work because I tried it before, but I never tried it with the iPhone and idea of interacting. So this will be definitely a big surprise. Okay, so here's my setup. These instruments are called theremins. They are, in fact, very old, about 100 years old instruments. Analog instruments, they produce very simple single sound. However, I use them in a different way. I fed their signal into the laptop, and on the laptop I wrote the software that analyzes these messages. So in fact, these theremins are used here as sensors. So when I move hand, computer can see it, and then computer can decide, based on what software I write, what sounds to trigger and what elements of my compositions to trigger. So this device serves me as a more natural way to perform my own electronic music. Instead of sitting at a computer, I can just move hands in a more natural way to trigger these sounds, and at the same time I can interact more with the audience. The audience can see what I'm doing. So the way it works is that there are different zones here. You can imagine different percussive sounds flying in the space. So when I hit them, you will also hear them. So let me give you an example. Right? And then I will have different sound there. And different here. So in this way I can do entire performance with different sounds, and it can be full electronic set of music, just like normal electronic composition, but it's created and controlled in real time. And possibilities are endless with this instrument. And on the 16th of September, I will use this system to make a performance for after concert reception, sort of a background music with elements of club music and experimental electronica, so people can enjoy and socialize, but at the same time we believe it will be a nice way to finish the concert.